All right. I hope everyone enjoyed the preview of what this year's IEM is going to look like. But we're back in Champion Select, luckily.
It's been a long time, but we've made it back to Champion Select, and we have the Kazakhstan coming out again.
Yep. In the meantime, the support for Team Trash Can, Dyneric, has been replaced by Chow Duck. So we know nothing about this new player. I have not stalked him on op.gg yet, so we don't know his playing preferences. So this is going to be
Yeah,
interesting.
and the interesting thing is that last Champion Select, they actually first picked the Karma to go to Dyneric, and now they have a different support in his place. So I'm not sure if they're going to be planning on making the same pick. I'm not sure if they're conforming to the same pick and ban. But if they do, then they're going to force Chowduck onto this, and I'm not really sure if he plays it. Like Niberia said, we don't have any information about this guy, so we have no idea what the champion pool from him is going to look like.
It looks like both teams are honoring the pick ban from last time we tried. I'm not sure about picks. They did seem to agree to bans. Okay, that's the Aatrox ban. That's a new one.
That's to replace their missed ban from last one. They didn't want
Right,
to wait the
right.
full 30 seconds, so they just banned out something that no one's going to pick.
Meanwhile, little do we know, but Danny the Best is secretly an Aatrox main. And they just banned out his
certainly
pick.
hope not, but if he is, then he'll have
I would
to.
feel so bad for him.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have any ranked games on it as far as I recall, but he does have many games on Darius, Poppy, and Gnar. And recently he's been playing Trundle and Shen, so lots of meta picks there, plus the Darius and the Gnar, of course. So we'll see if he's looking to pick one of those up. So it's actually going to be the Vi first pick. So they're switching the picks a little bit, and the Zyra Rek'Sai this time, okay?
So it
So
looks like they're honoring the picks just in a different order so far.
yeah, they might just change their support pick is my guess as to what they're going to do here. They're probably not going to pick the Karma, and instead they're going to pick something. Yep, like
Yep,
Morgana that's
Morgana
in
instead.
Chowdug's pool. Yep, similar style, but not quite the same champion.
Yeah, I think this is about the best we could have expected from this, um, in terms of
Yep.
trying to recreate it.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a different support player, it's hard to create the exact same thing. They've got a pretty similar composition going on there, though, from TTC, so not anything too surprising there. The tank top laner, the utility AD carry, high damage jungler, and then, a mage support. This is a pretty standard composition in the current meta. Similar stuff on the other side. A tank top laner. The only difference is that they're running a tank jungler as well. And their AD carry is a little bit less utility oriented and a little bit higher damage, which makes sense with the double tank comp.
Right. Well, normally we would stop a little sooner, but we're going to go for a few more seconds. So let's talk about, for the next 15 seconds, lane matchups. Which ones do you expect to win? Which ones do you expect to lose? We'll expand on them when the game actually loads in.
So just a quick review. Like I was saying before, Vi versus Rek'Sai in the jungle, you expect a lot of early action from those two junglers where they're farming a lot, but they're also ganking some. Top lane, it's two tanks. Nothing exciting going to happen there. Mid lane is Annie versus Orianna. I'm not super familiar with the matchup, but my experience tells me that typically speaking, both players are going to get some magic resist. Negatron cloaks early on for the Annie usually, and Orianna will go for the Morellos. Annie has kill potential if she can get ahead, but without a lead, that's hard. And then the bottom lane, this is Kate Zyra versus a Varus Morgana. Lots of CC in that bottom lane, lots of ways to set up ganks. So looking to probably see a lot of jungler attention bottom lane, but in the 2v2, probably not a lot of exciting stuff going on.
Right. All right. Well, that is a quick overview of all the lane matchups. We will see you guys in a few more minutes after we play some more Riot music. And see you then. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first game between Team Trashcan and Team Los Niños Gatti. My name's Nibiria, and I am joined by my co-caster, Enstep, and hopefully we'll be bringing you some good games. Terribly sorry about the delay. We had a few personnel issues, but here we go into this level 1.
Yeah, it looks like we're seeing some somewhat standard stuff, people sort of lining up. I mean, the truly standard level 1 is when you see the spread out and you're covering all the jungle entrances with bodies, but this is pretty similar from both sides. You can see LNG is doing the standard start where they're covering all their jungle entrances, and TTC was just looking to see if they could get an early counter cheese on a potential invade. With the Maokai coming down from the top side, but he's since moved back up since he was discovered.
So interestingly here, it looks like we're seeing Vi start at the top side of the jungle. We've actually not seen this in the entire matchup so far in the Learning 5s. Both of the games last night, we saw both junglers starting bottom side for that better leash. What are some of the advantages of starting top side, especially on Vi? Is she blue buff dependent? Is that why he's starting up there?
Vi doesn't really need blue buff insofar as her clear speed. You know, you don't really need mana on Vi to clear efficiently, especially early on. You know, your Q is your only major mana cost. The main advantage of starting blue side on Vi in this particular game is that he's going to be able to get an early gank onto bottom or mid from an unexpected angle. Bottom lane is going to be, like I was just saying earlier in Champ Select, bottom lane is a really good target for ganks here, especially for TTC, because it's very difficult for the red side bottom lane to get CC onto the blue side, whereas you know, LNG, you know, if they get hit by one Morgana Binding or one Varus ult, or even, you know, in some cases the Varus E will slow enough, you know, into the Vi Q, they're probably dead, or at the very least blowing 1 or 2 summoners. So it's an easy gank for Pesatero here, and there's a lot of potential for him.
Oh, Binding goes down on a hunt.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like anything's coming of it, though.
Big trade in mid lane as well.
Yep.
So Katsuo getting a pretty good trade on to Go Get Wrecked. Go Get Wrecked is going to have to blow some of his pots here.
Oh,
man.
Go Get Wrecked getting really low.
Yeah, this is pretty bad for Go Get Wrecked. He's blowing both potions already in the laning phase. This is not good. Annie needs to maintain a lead onto Orianna to be able to push through her shield to get damage in, so this is very bad for him.
He also doesn't have teleport, so he can't just cut his losses and go back to base and heal and then come back without losing some massive farm.
Yep, seeing some standard tank stuff in the top lane. Nothing too exciting going on there. Poppy going... Maokai actually going Doran's Ring here, which is the more normal start for Maokai, as opposed to the Corrupting Pots we were seeing before. So, interesting to see that adaptation. I do like the Doran's Ring a bit better in this kind of matchup, so that makes a lot of sense. Go Get Wrecked is in some danger here as well. I mean, he's got a
Chowduck with a roam from the bottom lane. Binding does not hit.
That was a little dangerous, though. Had he gotten hit by an EQ from Orianna, would have gone down there. So
he's actually sub 100 HP right now. So he's gonna have to back.
Katsuo playing with a lot of respect, and I think.
But hold on, Saucy Black Women gonna try and go for it. Flashes, blows both flashes there. Pretty good trade.
Flash for flash. I mean, nice by Go Get Wrecked not to die there, but still very bad. You know, misses out on that big wave, misses the flash. You know, it's very nice for the jungler to be able to trade flash for flash with the mid laner. So things are going
taking a lot of damage.
Ooh. Big trades here with the Zyra. Soul Beaver gonna have to blow his potion and just try and sustain back up with the Warlords.
Looks like a lot of the lanes for Team Trashcan not going too hot here in the early game at the very least.
Yeah, unfortunately for them, a lot of matchups which are either losing or, you know, slightly unfavorable early on, and they're losing out a little bit. So far, the gold lead's only 200 gold for LNG here, so not too bad. But the XP disadvantage, particularly in the mid lane, is already down 2 levels at this point, which is very unfortunate.
Having to start with that Null Magic Mantle as well can't exactly be helpful. Because normally you would want a Morellonomicon first on it, right, to get even more mana sustain, or is the Abyssal Scepter start something that we see very often? I'm not used to seeing Annie anywhere, actually, so I'm not quite sure what to expect out of this pick.
So typically what you do in these kind of matchups is if you don't get an early lead on the Annie, you rush into the Negatron Cloak if you can. Oh, again coming in top lane.
Saucy Black Woman trying to come in for a gank, but Zero getting out just in time. Does have to blow flash though.
Yeah, blowing a big flash. The Maokai flash, not a huge deal since you're not going to likely be trying to pressure out this Maokai. Once the tank top laners start getting, 1 to 2
great
items.
stun onto Magos.
Go Get Wrecked getting a good trade as well. Katsuo out of mana sort of seems to have overstayed a little bit in lane despite the huge XP and gold lead from CS.
Shadok getting a great melee binding on the Hunt.
Lots of action.
If Soul Beaver had focused on the Hunt just there, I think he may have either died or had to be forced to back. Oh, is he gonna get the snipe arrow?
He's gonna go for it. I don't think it'll kill anyway. I think it would have been close, but not quite there. Just with 3 ranks into the queue, or actually 2 ranks at this point.
Oh, looks like Zero's going in for a gank. Pesatero going on to Danny the Beast, but Danny the Best flashes out, so flash for nothing, not bad.
Yeah, a lot of flashes blowing across the map. There's a lot of potential with these flashes down for ganks potentially. Mid lane, top lane, in particular, top lane's vulnerable. Like I was saying though, once the tanks start to get to half to 1 item, especially towards 2 items, you're really not going to be looking to gank them though. The jungler just has so little pressure onto top lane tanks that have items. So right now is the prime time to gank them if you are going to do it.
Saucy Black Woman looking to try and gank, but there is some vision there that allows Team Trashcan to see him coming. So
yep, Soul Beaver and Chowduck backing out in time. Plenty of time for them. And again, it's pretty difficult to set up ganks onto the onto TTC's bottom lane as opposed to the other way around. The Borg Black Shield can help block a knock-up from the Rek'Sai, especially one that doesn't come from a flash on Burrow. It's pretty hard for the Saucy Black Woman to get any kind of stun going onto this bottom lane. It's going to be mostly onto Hunt to either blow the Black Shield or get a root onto someone around the Black Shield.
Right. What I'd really like to see here is Go Get Wrecked trying to go for a roam. He does have Ghost, which is a great movement summoner, if nothing else, and it could try and mitigate some of the damage caused by that first part of the lane.
Yeah, the typical play pattern for Annie. Well, as we see a very exciting tank top lane trade. Oh, gank coming in.
Oh, gank coming in on Go Get Wrecked. Shockwave does go down. Saucy Black Woman gets the knockup, and Go Get Wrecked is going to go down here for first blood.
Yep, great and gank. That's the price of losing that early flash from Annie, and just the Orianna ults him back, and easy knockup for Saucy Black Woman. It's pretty free gank there, and probably should have had a little bit better vision mid lane. Needs to be expecting that kind of ganks when his flash is down against an Orianna.
Right. One gank down. Now, would it be smart for Pesatero to come gank this Poppy? Because he is flashless, and Vi has percent max HP damage, so it should be pretty okay, right?
Well, the thing is, how much do you really gain from... First of all, how much do you really gain from ganking the Poppy? The Poppy versus Maokai matchup, neither of them is going to win significantly, as we see a gank coming in top lane here.
Wet noodle fight coming in. I don't think this is going to result in a kill no matter what, because Saucy Black Woman does have flash, but won't get a second knockup. Zero still has the ult coming up.
There's no way. This Maokai has a Cinder at this point. He's not taking any damage. So, yeah, it's just... the question is, not only how worth it is it to gank top lane, getting a significant lead. At this point, you really want the lead early on so that then you can use your TP.
Hold on, Go Get Wrecked coming in for a gank. Gets the flash stun with the Tibbers. Misses a few skill shots, but Hunt is still going to go down.
Yeah, nice flash ult by Soul Beaver to secure that kill. Just flashes to make sure that they get the Varus ult in. Nice play, in my opinion, because if you fire it from a longer range, then it'll be a bit harder to know that you're going to hit it. And there's potential that Hunt will flash out. Hunt didn't end up flashing or exhausting over that. Possibly could have saved himself, but I think Soul
Pesatero getting ulted here in the mid lane. Go Get Wrecked does not have stun up. It needs 2 more charges to get anything, so I think Katsuo is going to get out of here. Has to blow the shockwave defensively, though. So
yeah,
and nice both summoners.
Shockwave. Yeah, nice shockwave. I'm not sure if both summoners were really necessary. I think could have held either the ghost or the ult, but oh, Go Get Wrecked.
Oh. Go Get Wrecked getting ganked, but nothing gonna happen. Oh, a flash knockup from Saucy Black Woman. Very dangerous, but it looks like it's gonna result in a kill, but Saucy Black Woman's gonna go down in return.
Yeah, that's pretty nice for Go Get Wrecked. He gets a trade kill despite, getting flashed on by the jungler. That's a huge deal. Saucy Black Woman losing the flash. Oh, Pesatero going in on Katsuo.
Trying to kill Katsuo, doing a surprising amount of damage there, but is he going to die on the chase? Oh my god!
Oh. Goes for the flash Q into X-Katsuo's face. Gets the shield from the passive, plus all the damage. Really nice play there from Pesatero. And when you have this kind of lead, this is when you get into a position where you can start building lots of damage onto the Vi, and that's when she's really scary. You know, when you have all of these damage items, when you get, you know, Warrior, Triforce, and you're still decently tanky, that's the really scary thing to play against. You know, the Vi comes in, one-shots her 80 carry, and is able to tank out some extra damage as well.
That's Pesatero's experience on the champion showing right there, knowing that he has enough damage not only to kill the Orianna, but enough health with the passive to tank up any retaliation she could throw out at that point. So
yeah, I believe the Courage of the Colossus came back up as well. Although I'm not 100%. That might have used it originally on the first Q.
Right.
Yeah, regardless, lots of shielding there coming in from Vi. You know, that's why she's pretty strong in solo queue in the current meta. Lots of shields to help mitigate early damage while you just build damage items, and you don't need as many of the early tank items. I think Go Get Wrecked not taking out this tunnel was a big mistake, though. Now it's too dangerous to go up and take it out, and Saucy Black Women has an easy path in for this gank.
Yep. Possible double tunnel coming out, but Chowduck is here with a flash binding, brilliant, and ults into X-Katsuo, who's probably going to go down here, but Go Get Wrecked getting dangerously low. Pesatero does ult on the Saucy Black Women, and Danny the Best should not have finished that TP. He's going to die here for almost nothing.
Yeah, big problem. You know, should have canceled that TP for sure. TP'd into 4 people after his entire team was already dead. You know, nice play set up here by TTC, just getting a really nice collapse onto mid lane with the Annie, and this is exactly what you want to do with Annie. You want a lot of early fights. You want a lot of you know, early engagements and skirmishes where you can get a lot of value out of Tibbers, out of the stun, out of the quick rotations coming back up from Annie. This is exactly what you want for you know, the start of the snowball for Annie and for the Vi as well. Varus, you know, just presenting a lot of nice supportive CC for these early skirmishes. And it looks like they're going for the play in the bottom lane, but I don't think they're going to be getting anything out of it.
I don't think they're going to get a kill here, but they could take the dragon off of this, which is something that I would have expected them to do the first bottom lane gank when they had 4 down here and ended up killing Hunt. I was kind of expecting them to take it then, because with the combination of Vi and Varus, you have a lot of % max HP damage, so they have a great team for taking objectives, and I'm hoping to see them utilize their composition a little bit coming into the mid game here to take those objectives more quickly than Los Niños Gatti can respond to it.
Hunt's got a cheese brush set up here. It looks like they're a little bit maybe aware that this might be happening. Oh,
yep.
And the dodge.
Chowduck
nice,
just juking it out.
Yeah, Chowduck, nice play there. I was expecting him to ward that brush as soon as he got in range, and actually ended up didn't ward it, and then just sort of juked back and forth. Not sure if he was really aware that Hunt was there, but probably aware of at least the possibility that Hunt could be there.
Right. I think the plant in the middle of the lane was a dead giveaway because, oh, it looks like Zero going into Danny the Best, but it just doesn't matter. It's, you know, it's wet noodle fights all over again.
Yeah, no point in getting excited about this lane matchup. You know, this is just, unless one player gets a significant early lead, which, you know, as I was talking about, you can get an early lead and then you get a pressure advantage where then the one top laner can TP away and make a play on the other side of the map. Really, there's not going to be much going on here. Maokai versus Poppy, neither of them's going to do any damage to each other. And it's going to be mostly just a push battle and a battle for who has, you know, more relevant plays on the other parts of the map.
So is this Ocean Drake worth taking at this point? Because we've seen Team Trashcan sort of give up, I think, 2 opportunities where they could have taken it now, and I'm wondering if they're just, I think they might be measuring the benefit or the cost benefit of taking it and maybe losing it. Is it still worth contesting at this point, or should they just wait until they're guaranteed to get it for free and then take it?
I don't really think it's worth much here. Ocean, you know, there's only certain champions that really care about Ocean Drakes, and there's just not that many in this game. Varus, to some extent, does like having it, but his mana problems sort of dissipate as the game goes on. Same thing with Annie. As you sort of level up, you know, your mana problems go away. Oh, Annie with the Protobelt
coming in. Oh, but a beautiful stun from Go Get Wrecked, and then an ult from X-Katsuo. Go Get Wrecked does burn the flash.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Tibbers is going to be able to get anything done here other than, you know, smacking some minions around. But, yeah, X-Katsuo having a huge pressure advantage in the mid lane, despite having that huge, you know, play turnaround for TTC in the mid lane where they were able to pick up 3 kills. I believe it was 3 kills for nothing. Yeah, despite that, X-Katsuo still has a huge lead in the mid lane in terms of experience and gold, and is still pressuring out, especially with that first Tower Blood. You know, that's helped bring... LNG back up to gold. They're only down about 1K right now, and they're going to be able to take this Ocean Drake most likely, unless there's a steal from Pesatero.
Oh, looks like they're trying to back off here. Nope, just pulling it out.
Yeah, just pulling it out to make the steal from Pesatero more risky.
Ooh, almost got it. Gonna have to flash out here, though. Unfortunate.
Yeah, that dragon was actually at 21 HP. Both junglers missing their smite, and a forced flash from Pesatero because he did go for the steal. Not really convinced that that was worth it. I think Pesatero should have just said, okay, this is an Ocean Drake. You know, nobody in this game really cares about it. You know, there's no Jace or anything like that who really has serious mana problems throughout the game. So really, I'm not convinced that flash was worth it. Instead, he could have used that flash to maybe go for, you know, a Q flash onto this bottom lane from, you know, onto Megist or Hunt, maybe, or even the mid lane onto X-Katsuo, although of course that is a bit dangerous, especially now that X-Katsuo has started building up, you know, Morello plus either Wisp, has a lot of damage and is putting a lot of threat down with the potential ult combos from Orianna.
I think, do you think it may have been worth it in Pesatero's mind to contest because one of the best ways to mitigate a poke team's damage, which is sort of what Soul Beaver provides on Varus, is a lot of poke. Ocean Drake does a good job of preventing the damage from sticking, so maybe the thought process behind it was, I'm going to try and steal this dragon, and if I get it, our poke is that much more effective as a result.
Well, the thing with Varus in the current meta is you don't really play him as a poke champion. You play him as a utility AD carry. Oh, as we're seeing it
hold on a second. Pesatero going in with an ult. Lots of flashes being burned here. Soul Beaver does whiff the ult just slightly. Hunt getting bound up, though. Probably going to go down here. Pesatero's getting pretty low. Soul Beaver tries to tank the Caitlyn ult successfully, though. Saucy Black Woman goes down as well. It's Zero in the top lane, also getting taken down. Good lord, that was 2 fights across the map.
Yeah, lots of fighting, and again, we can point out Hunt again going down without burning flash. Could have probably lived there if he just flashed the binding. So a big problem. Oh, Megist?
Oh, Megist might be going down here.
Very low under this turret. Might end up going down once they push this wave up, but they're not in position to push the wave, so Magus can probably recall here unless...
Go get wrecked. Ghosting in.
Oh,
Proto Belt and misses to Tibbers. Good flash.
Yeah, flashed away from Tibbers, so... Yeah, because Soul Beaver didn't hit any arrows there under the turret, Magus was able to recall, you know, sort of a blind luck game, see if he hits the arrow, and if he does, then can keep him there for long enough to get the kill under the turret, most likely. But
Katsuo did, however, blow both summoners.
Yeah, Katsuo going down with summoners, you know, again, I think could have probably held the ghost. You know, didn't really need to use it there, but going for the safe play rather than the conservative play, which, you know, to some extent I can understand for sure.
Right. Looks like she has about 1,000 gold in the mid lane on X-Katsuo. So this Annie build coming out here, this is, I guess, Assassin Annie rather than sustained damage Annie. What can we expect to be different from a more standard Morellonomicon kind of build? Hold on, Soul Beaver getting really low and going down. A great catch by Hunt and Magos.
Yeah, kind of unlucky for Soul Beaver. I mean, I think that positioning was okay, but Magus just 2 auto attacks, 2 crits, and you know, probably wouldn't have gotten hit by another auto attack. And if one of them hadn't been a crit, would have lived against the 30% crit. Shoutout going for a bind here onto Magus, hits it, but I don't think they know that it was hit. So yeah, unfortunate. And also, they've also got
is probably going to go down here. Saucy Black Woman and Katsuo going to take him out.
Yep, support coming in for LNG, so they're able to, regardless of whether the binding hits or not, you know, push him out and get a kill. No real other objectives to take, and also worth noting, they did miss the local gold on that turret, so that turret take was not a big deal, not a big loss for TTC. TP coming in here from Zero.
Yep, this might turn into a fight, but it doesn't look like they're going to try and engage on it. So, one thing that we're noticing here, end step, is that Pesatero's build, which while was okay, while Team Trashcan was so far in the lead in terms of kills, is suddenly just such an unreliable part because he has to finish that Trinity Force before he can build tank, and now you have a squishy Vi against the opposing team who's caught up. So like you said earlier, this more damage-oriented build is going to come back and bite him.
Yeah, and actually at this point, LNG is actually ahead about, what, 1K now? Yeah, about 1K. They're going to be more ahead once they get this turret, unless they're able to counterplay this.
Oh,
which
Hunt is going to get killed here. Brilliant bind from Chowduck. Chowduck showing that great emergency pickup.
Pesatero
going to get taken out here. Curse of the Colossus does proc. Saucy Black Women does get hit by the binding. Soul Beaver tossing out his ult, but eats the shockwave from Orianna, and then he and Chowduck are going to go down here. So, very disorganized fight. Go Get Wrecked trying to Proto Belt over, but lands on a trap mid Proto Belt is what looked like happened.
Yeah, Proto Belted right onto the trap, so that's kind of unfortunate. Again, these sort of situations, they're having a hard time when their Vi is full damage and wasn't able to get off any damage there. Just got one shotted, got the ult off onto Saucy Black Women, but that's a Rek'Sai that's already got a Cinder Hulk. The damage was kind of irrelevant. Got off no auto attacks to make use of that Triforce. So very unfortunate there. Would have been much better off with a tankier build, or with just better positioning so that it didn't get caught out. Unfortunate, and then just a lot of catches, and the Annie wasn't quite close enough. Go Get Wrecked wasn't in position to counterplay that big engagement in the top lane. So got there a little bit late, Proto Belted onto a trap, and didn't get anything done.
Yeah, and it's I think this is sort of an artifact of the team compositions that have been drafted here. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the better team fighting comp from LNG is sort of taking over the pick comp from TTC, because these all end up in fights, because the picks aren't just, okay, we picked off one person on their lonesome. It's, okay, we picked off one person, but 3 more are right behind them.
Yeah, so understandably, these teams are both really team fight comps, but TTC does have a lot more pick potential with the Annie, with the Vi, with the Morgana, even the Varus to some extent. But realistically, all these champions have AoE CC. They can still do team fighting as well, just less so. Looks like there's a big fight over this dragon, though. Neither of them want to give up this Infernal, which is pretty understandable. Poppy charging the ult.
Oh, misses it just barely. A 3-man shockwave. Brilliant coming out from Chowduck goes down. Ex-Cotswell about to go down here, but Pesitero's going to die at the cost of it. Saucy Black Woman dies in the backline, and it looks like it's now a 3v3. Tibbers doing a lot of damage, takes down Hunt there. Magos trying to take out Zero, but Zero getting a great twisted advance to keep the invulnerability, and Pesitero barely surviving that fight. It looks like TTC is going to take the dragon here. I am out of breath. That was an intense fight.
Yeah, Soul Beaver just putting out insane damage throughout that whole fight. Was able to basically free hit the entire fight, whereas Magus got pushed back several times and wasn't able to continuously auto attack. That's the big difference there. Also, of course, big things to note. Lots of summoners up on the side of LNG that they didn't burn in that fight to make use of all that power. And then similarly, some summoners up, but Soul Beaver, both of his summoners up, but didn't need to use either one. Just got the free hit the whole time. Nobody was threatening him, and they don't have a ton of backline threat here from LNG. So they're gonna have to find some way to deal with this Varus. Sooner or later he's gonna start building an Infinity Edge, most likely, and just he's going to be doing so much damage that he's going to be out damaging your Caitlyn with these 8 kills, and it's going to be very difficult to fight front to back in these team fights unless you can do something to threaten the Varus.
It does look like that Infinity Edge is coming out much sooner rather than later. He was banking 2,300 gold at the time he backed, so he picked up a BF sword and a pickaxe. And
yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Like I said, they don't have a ton of backline threat, and it was very easy. He saw he could free hit that entire time, so might as well just buy the maximum damage item. And once he buys this IE, he's going to be sitting on 70% crit, huge AD, huge crits, a lot of attack speed. As we see, Binding's missing.
Oh, safe there. Ooh,
Soul Beaver
getting a little
step on the trap there. So going to get poked out a bit. Down to less than half HP, but I'm sure he'll be able to go get some Warlord sustain, or just back.
LNG trying to take a Baron here? Is that why they blew all that, just poking out the Varus?
It's 24 minutes, and their composition is not particularly insane for dealing doing Baron. I mean, their damage is limited. It's basically just a Caitlyn plus the Zyra plants that are going to be helping you do the Baron. Orianna's Baron damage isn't spectacular, so I think it'd be a little bit slow for them to take the Baron at this point. Whereas on the other side for TTC, their Baron's quite a bit faster.
Right. So it looks like we have Zero split pushing in the bot lane for TTC, while LNG is pressuring the mid lane.
Yeah, and they have the wave clear. They have the Annie wave clear, plus Morgana, and a little bit of Vi coming in here. Maybe they can clear this, but it looks like they're going to be able to take the tower.
They were just tanking that the whole time. There wasn't a single minion there for them.
Yeah, they do have Orianna on a 2-tank comp, so tanking the turret. It looks like they're going to try and collapse on Zero. Will he TP out here? His TP is up. I suspect that that's probably the correct play. I don't think he's even able to get the recall off in the bush here.
He's trying for it.
Looks like he's going for the greedy play of the recall, and I think this is going to end up punishing him here unless they don't. Oh, yep.
Oh, Magos might go down, though, because She's incredibly squishy on that Caitlyn, but getting kited out. Zero. Katsuo missing the shockwave. That's going to bite her in the butt later.
Yeah, and if TTC had been in a little bit better position, maybe they could have threatened a Baron there. Of course, Saucy Black Women trying to counterplay it by immediately ulting over close there, but at the very least, they maybe could have forced some kind of cooldowns besides the Rek'Sai ult there, I think, had they been prepared to answer the Baron for the 5-man collapse onto Zero. Otherwise, it doesn't look like they're going to get much punished for the loss of Zero there. He didn't burn his TP, he didn't burn Flash, and he didn't use anything there of any significance, and it doesn't look like LNG is going to do anything with the death of the enemy top laner here.
Now, at this point, is everyone supposed to be just backing here and prepping for maybe fighting around Baron? It looks like TTC's next smart move would be to play around the top side either way, because there is still that outer turret up there on the side of LNG that they could take down, and then possibly either rotate to Baron, bait Baron, or just get vision on it at the very least. Their vision right now is a little lacking on the opposing side of the map. They have their jungle covered fairly well, but there's no wards on the other side of the map for them.
Yeah, obviously for TTC, this is a pretty clear game plan here. They should be looking to take this top outer that's very low. It's freestanding gold on the map, whereas the gameplay for LNG is a bit harder. They're behind a little bit, not a really relevant amount of gold. It's just 200 gold at this point. But they are down an Infernal, notably, and obviously there's a lot of risk of getting wombo comboed if they walk into an area without vision. And notably, you can look and see they don't have any vision across the river, with the exception of one ward onto the backside of the enemy red buff.
Right.
So it would be very easy for them to potentially walk into an Annie or a Morgana, or even a Varus ult or a Vi Q. Any of these abilities, you walk into them, then you're going to get exploded by their high damage, high burst team, and lights out for you.
Looks like they're posturing for a fight here in this top side.
So the bind hit Magus, but they didn't go for it. Oh, Maokai Flash.
Oh, Maokai Flash, and it looks like Saucy Black Woman's on the backline trying to do some damage. Chowduck is staying alive. Danny the Best going in onto Soul Beaver there, who does heal out. He might still be able to survive and get the kill, but nope. Annie is here on the backline, as is Pesatero, trying to take out Maghost and Katsuo and Hunt. But it looks like TTC is barely going to win this fight. Actually, no. Quite handily, actually.
Yeah, so like I was saying, they don't have any way to dive the backline, and they commit both of their tanks to taking out Soul Beaver here, and it ends up biting them. They don't have any front line, so that just allows Go Get Wrecked, Zero, Pesatero, and Chowduck to just run rampant on the entire backline of LNG here, and it's pretty easy for them to take them out without the double frontline tanks, Danny the Best and Saucy Black Women, who were on Soul Beaver that whole time. It's very difficult for LNG to team fight, and they're just going to get run over in the back line by this extremely powerful Annie. This Annie at this point has Void Staff, in addition to the Proto Belt. Looks like building up some kind of CDR, maybe the Abyssal now, but
it looks like it.
Yeah, even with Soul Beaver going down, it was just too much commitment, and that's the problem with their composition at this point, is that they don't have a way to take out this extremely fed Varus, and they can't commit too much to the Varus. They have to get him for free, or at least for very little commitment.
Oh, it looks like Zero's going in on the Saucy Black Woman, who's about to get... Oh, Magos getting ulted by Pesatero, who does get two people with a knockup. Pesatero is going to go down thanks to that squishier build, and Katsuo getting a good shockwave onto it. But Danny the Best almost going down here. Go Get Wrecked getting very low. Does go down to Magos. Magos might be going down here as well. Danny the Best is the last one alive, who's still in the fight. Hunt runs away. And Zero gonna get knocked out, but Soul Beaver is going to clean up the kill.
And this is going to be a second Infernal given over to TTC. The things are looking very grim for LNG. Double Infernal handed over, plus a 3k gold lead, which isn't too big at this point. Well, it's more closer to 2.5, but not too big at this point in the game. But another Infernal is going to be even harder to teamfight as it is.
Yep, and they're taking that down very quickly. It looks like their objective time is pretty quick. Are they rotating up to Baron here?
I think without Pesatero up here for the Smite, I don't think they're going to be going for this Baron. Saucy Black Woman is alive, could potentially ult close to it, so I don't think going for Baron there made much sense. But, an easy Raptor steal here for Soul Beaver, of course.
There's a lot of gold in the pockets of the 80 carry support and top laner right now, so we'll have to see what they pick up. It looks like Zero is still not backing. He might be trying to save up for the full Randuins. He has 1,500 gold in his pocket right now on the Warden's Mail and a Ruby Crystal, so that should be exactly enough.
Yep, looks like he's recalling right now and grabbing it. So some control over the Baron area here for LNG makes sense. They need to be putting their vision down. They know this Baron is a huge threat. Double Infernal on a team with as good Baron control, just in their composition, means they're going to take this pretty fast, especially with an 80 carry this fed. I don't even know. Soulbeaver's thinking about what he's going to buy here. It goes for a Last Whisper, it looks like, plus 2 control wards, going for serious vision control. And the Last Whisper, of course, to be able to shred through this double front line from LNG.
Yeah, if you look at the builds on TTC, I can tell you exactly what that coach was telling them just before this match. Buy vision. There were 6 control wards in the inventory of the players just after this bag. Zero just placed his, and there's 2 in the inventory of both of the bot laners and 1 in the junglers. So we'll see if this strategy pays off. I can't see it not paying off. Vision is always a plus. So.
Yeah, it's hard for this strategy to not pay off when you're ahead. When you're behind, it's a little riskier to invest that much into vision because, if it ends up getting cleared out, and you don't get anything out of it. Oh, as I don't think they're getting anything onto Zero here.
No,
not really
Zero
sure why he ulted.
It's only a, 20-second cooldown at this point, I think?
Something like that. I mean, they did double it at some point. It used to be 30 at rank 1, now it's 60. I think it's all the cooldown was doubled, or maybe it's still 20 at max rank. I don't recall.
Yeah, still better than the horror days when the cooldown was instant.
Yeah, those were some unfortunate days when you'd have your 40% CDR Maokai running around with his ult on all the time.
Yep. The first time Maokai had been viable in 1 or 2 seasons, and suddenly he was this unkillable monster.
Yep, changed to a top laner. Unfortunate times, and he's been a top laner ever since. Never been seen in the jungle ever since the rework, which is it's kind of unfortunate in my mind. I kind of like Maokai jungle as a concept, but yeah,
we've seen it a few times in solo queue at least, but never competitive.
Sure. Never competitively. No, competitively, Maokai is just a top laner. Binding going wide.
Looks like they're going to try and siege this mid tower. Pesatero staying on the backside. Probably looking for a Q ult onto Magos if he gets out of position at any point.
Yeah, so one thing I'd like to point out, I don't know how many people know this or unaware, the Swifties onto Vi here. So Swifties reduce slows on you by 25%, and that actually counts self-slows as well. So this means that the Vi is actually moving faster while charging Q here. So I think that's a somewhat well-known fact, but I don't think everyone's familiar with it. So Swifties, if you can afford them, if you're you can normally only get them when you're ahead because otherwise you need the more efficient tank items, boots like Tabbies or Mercs. But if you're ahead on Vi and you can get the Swifties, they are quite nice.
Yep. Interesting to see the Courage of the Colossus. I think it's better in competitive, but in solo queue at least. Super Metroid, a challenger Vi one trick, usually goes as Thunderlords for the stronger burst early game.
Yeah, but you can see that on a lot of Courage of the Colossus junglers. Same thing with Hecarim. In solo queue, sometimes people will take Thunderlords for the extra early.
Go get right, getting a flash stun in, and X-Katsuo going down pretty much instantly. Danny the Best getting a 1 or 2 man ult. It looks like it hit Tibbers though. Hunt almost going down here. Danny the Best is maybe gonna get out of this, but Zero is on the back right there. It looks like the entirety of TTC, except for Zero, was trying to chase out Saucy Black Women. But Danny the Best getting gone on here and is gonna die in short order. So we'll see. This should be just a push for inhib at this point, but they might try and turn it into a Baron on top of it. Soulbeaver is tanking the tower.
To tank this turret, although Soulbeaver is taking a lot of shots, but Tibbers to tank this turret. They can take out the inhibitor fairly quickly. They should be able to still make it to Baron. The only issue is that the last death, the longest death timer is Danny, and he has TP. So it looks like they're going to go for the second inhib turret, possibly also second inhib, rather than go for the Baron, which I think makes
much
sense.
Safer.
They had the waves in good position there. Had that bottom wave not been in position, they may have needed to risk. Well, they may have felt they needed to risk it for the Baron play, but the safer play was available, and they did go for it. I think good play there from TTC.
And it looks like TTC did just ping out the Baron, so that's where they're likely headed next, but I can't imagine that LNG isn't expecting that, so we might see another fight coming up here. Hunt is finding that control ward. So
yeah, they're going to try and get some vision with Hunt and Saucy Black Woman moving up here. But, their vision, how much does their vision really matter when 2 inhibs are down? They're going to have to commit at least 1 to 2 people to defend their base just to be able to hold that. And I actually think for TTC, they should be taking the top outer before they even siege the Baron. The top outer is already very low. It's a pretty free turret. They can get some extra gold, and then they can maybe look to, once that top turret's down, establish even stronger vision control in this topside red jungle. Once they do that, it's much easier to take the Baron.
Yeah, things are looking pretty bleak for LNG, but they can still get back in it, right? Like, with some good objective play. Do they need to play around Baron? Do they need to play around Dragon? What's the goal other than turtling?
So the big win conditions here for LNG are one is a big Oriole. A 4 or 5 man Oriole could potentially pull something off here, but that's
like she's getting close to it.
Yeah, getting close, but Baron is secured.
Saucy Black Woman doesn't steal a 2-man Oriole. Chowduck is having to zone this here, so not going to get out. Magos getting the trap there and some extra headshot damage, but it's Baron for one person. That's not a bad trade. Hunt has to blow the flash out of fear of the Annie. It's a scary 6-year-old.
It's not even Baron for a 1-for-0. It's Baron and a 1-for-1, which is a totally fine situation for TTC. That's great. And they could even potentially go for the Elder Drake. That would essentially give them an extra Infernal in addition to the burn. So I think that should be on their list of things to get after this top turret. It looks like they're probably going to try and force the inhibitor turret, though, since super minions are already in LNG's base. So it's a lot easier for them to pressure up on this inhib turret here. But arguably, maybe they should just be, taking the free Elder Dragon. But since LNG isn't really putting up any resistance, it'll be fairly easy for them to get this inhibitor for the third inhib. And it's going to be basically impossible for LNG to come back now.
Incredibly difficult, because now they have to face 2 super minions per wave on each
2
lane.
super minions per waves, per wave, easy, access to a free objective here. Oh, Saucy Black Woman's going in.
Pesatero getting out with the Q, it looks like. Yep. I think Saucy Black Woman made the smart call backing off there.
Yeah, at this point, though, it's pretty easy game plan for TTC. They can, at this point, choose whether they want to just go for the Elder Drake or whether they just want to walk in the base and guide their minion waves in. There's only one Nexus turret up, and I don't even believe it's very high health. And so it'll be pretty easy for them to just pressure them out and just guide the double super minion waves in until the Nexus is dead. At this point, they can't even. At this point, LNG can't even team fight. They're down so much gold against double Infernal and a 6-item AD carry. So regardless of how they play this fight, it's going to be pretty difficult for them to do anything. As Saucy Black Woman goes in for the Elder Drake steal and gets caught out.
Flash the wall. Oh, but Chowduck following with a flash of his own, trying to assassinate his friend here. Fun fact: Saucy Black Woman is actually the one who brought in Chowduck for TTC here. He's a choice he is thoroughly regretting at this moment.
Yep, and they still have the Baron buff. They still have the Baron buff on the side of TTC for a little while. I'm not sure, again, if Pesatero has
Pesatero trying to get the ult on Katsuo.
Well, Katsuo is surviving, but don't really think it matters.
Oh, goodness. That is some damage from Go Get Wrecked. Getting low, but not low enough.
Making some big plays here in the late game. Lots of, initiated that big fight that was able to get them the 2 inhibs. So Go Get Wrecked, for sure, making some nice plays. Despite his bad early laning phase, able to pick it up in the later game and push his team to victory.
Yeah, TTC coming in with a nice win. The squishier early Vi build from Pesatero actually paying off. It's a surprising adaptation, but I'm quite a fan. So in the meantime, we're going to be heading off to another break while the teams get ready for the next game. Hope to see you then. All right, and we're coming back into the game here. Champ select for game 2 of TTC versus LNG.
Nope. Denied. Back to the lobby.
Oh! All right, I guess we're not, everyone. Back to the wait screen. They're scaring me here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the issue is. Looks like Katsuo left, so possibly a client crash or something like that. We'll have to find out in a second.
We'll hope so. In the meantime, I guess it's back to some more League music and EU production. Oh, I think we're restarting the lobby. All right, and it looks like we're actually going into champion select this time. First ban is a Vi.
No big surprises there. The Vi was pretty strong last game, although I would expect to see an Annie ban actually against Go Get Wrecked, because even with losing lane fairly handily, it was able to put a huge impact on the game. So I'm sure if they're gonna, if to me it feels like if they're gonna put a ban on one of the things from last game, would probably make more sense to do the Annie, but maybe they're planning that one as well.
Kha'Zix ban and Swain again. More target bans coming out.
Yeah, no surprise from those target bans. Zyra ban coming out, which is interesting. I didn't feel to me like the Zyra was particularly relevant last game, but maybe they feel differently.
Maybe they're trying to pick something like Sona, who gets blown up pretty quickly.
Yeah, it could be that they're trying to pick something that has a horrible matchup into Zyra, or maybe they feel that putting him on a different support, he'd be even less comfortable, because that game ended up that Hunt just didn't flash. Died I think 3 or 4 times with both summoners, or at the very least flash up. So Zyra is notoriously a squishy support, but if they force him onto another, support that's similarly squishy but has less damage, could be in an even worse spot for that
Right.
sort of thing.
Looks like the Varus been coming out. Not surprising. Soul Beaver did some serious work on that pick last time. The Darius ban I am surprised by, though.
So Danny the Beast does have Darius, I believe, as his most played or second most played after Poppy, but it is a little weird. Also, the Zed for X Katsuo, I did note this down. X Katsuo has been playing a lot of Zed, but most recently has, I think, the 6 losses in a row or something like that with Zed. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, X Katsuo, this is a risky pick for sure, especially blind. And, they're giving over the Maokai for free. This is a huge risk to take just to pick the Zed. And I'm not really sure why they first picked it because it's not like it's not like TTC are going to be taking the Zed away.
No, it's not a highly contested pick. I don't even think in LCS anymore. The Hecarim is interesting coming out. Hopefully that is going to run Ghost.
Yeah,
Um,
Hecarim, interesting because we haven't really been seeing Hecarim in competitive very much, but it is a prominent solo queue pick for sure where you farm up until you have your Triforce, maybe get off 1 or 2 ganks with the Ghost, and then you just start rampaging on people and massacring the late game. You ult onto the enemy AD carry, one-shot them, and then you're still a big tank. Sort of similar style to the Vibe, but with a little bit less early game pressure, but with a bit better scaling.
An Evelynn pick coming out here. I don't know how I feel about this. It does have a strong early game, but isn't Evelynn fairly weak in competitive because of the higher vision control standards, and especially against this team, TTC, who last game at one point had 6 control boards in the inventory of their players. They are not slacking on the vision department.
Yeah, so little known fact about Eve is that her win rate actually goes up as the game goes on. Her win rate starts out below, I believe at 25 minutes, it's actually just around 40%, and it only gets up to above 50 after 40 minutes. So, yeah, interestingly, most people think of Evelynn as this early game snowball champion that has to cheese to get ahead, but in reality, she is actually a strong late game scaler. Her ultimate max rank is very strong. A Gnar here for Danny the Beast into the Maokai, bit of a risky matchup, but yeah, this is interesting. They picked the Eve, I think, to cover the lack of magic damage from the mid lane. They probably didn't have any other available AP junglers in the jungler pool, and they're looking to have some strong early game pressure onto mid lane with Eve Zed, I suspect is what their plan is. So I don't know. This is a very risky composition from LNG. If this falls behind, they are going to just lose the game for free. There's vastly superior scaling from TTC, and there's just no way, even if they're ahead, it's going to be very difficult for LNG to team fight. Especially with this unreliable Gnar. Without the Gnar bar in the right position, their team fighting is very weak.
Right. So what are both compositions trying to do this game, just in general?
So this is a classic Sivir Hecarim comp over from TTC. They've got the front line from the Maokai. They've got the Sivir to buff up the Hecarim, the Sivir to get the Annie in there as well. The Sivir ult allows the Annie to position herself much more aggressively get into the 3-man ults that you're used to seeing from Annie, the big, huge ults to knock people out. This is a team fighting comp essentially. They can
Okay.
make picks with the Hecarim and the Morgana, but and the Annie as well. But that's not really the focus of the comp. The focus should be skirmishing and team fighting. Whereas the other side, they're looking to get a lead onto this Zed and split push to win. But it's going to be difficult for Zed to split push into this Maokai.
Yep. All right, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes when the game loads in, and hopefully we'll bring you some more quality League of Legends. See you then. Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back. We're coming into Game 2 of TTC versus LNG here at Learning 5's EU West Showmatch number 1. My name's Nibiria, and I'm joined by my partner.
End step, all here and ready, or mid step in Twitch chat.
Yep, so we're going to be seeing, it looks like an almost identical level 1 from last game.
Yeah, just a little bit of a step up. Although the main difference is that nobody has their top laner with them, so this would be 4v4 at most. Both top laners are still on the top side of the map. No surprises here. I don't really think you're going to be seeing anything exciting happening during this level 1.
Yep, only one ward has been put down so far. It looks like Hunt getting the Mantra Q onto Pesatero. He may have to back after that, but it doesn't look like he's going to.
Yeah, in some ways, if he doesn't back here, this does make him a little bit more vulnerable to early cheese. And it does look like, I don't think Saucy Black Women is going to go for this, but there is possibility he sneaks up and tries to steal this buff with his smite. But it's very dangerous to do this, especially when the bottom lane is leashing, because the bottom lane may just walk into, and you can see he's walking a little bit around. Oh, he's going for the ward on it. Interesting. Looks like he's just going to go to his red buff.
Yep, possibly just trying to scare them off it or something similar, but pretty standard starts. We're seeing both junglers start bot side this time to get the increased leashing speed. So nothing too peculiar yet. Looking at the item starts, everything seems to be pretty standard from what I see. The Maokai is starting Doran's Ring again, which just gives him the extra mana sustain.
Oof. Saucy Black Woman taking a lot of extra damage from that buff. You can kite the buff. Ooh, Magus getting pinned, but no follow-up. But yeah, Saucy Black Woman taking a lot of extra damage. You can kite buffs out on Evelynn and take a lot less damage from them. So it's going to be pretty unfortunate for him. And you also know for a fact that Eve is going to have to do the blue buff pretty early on because of her mana issues. So at some point, Pesatero has to know 100% this Eve is going to be topside fairly soon. He has to do the blue buff fairly early. So Pesatero is going to know that he's there, but I don't know if he's going to do anything with that information because as Hecarim, generally speaking, you want to just farm out your jungle anyway, so it doesn't really affect him that much that he knows where Saucy Black Woman is. And Saucy Black Woman's very low, so it doesn't look like he's going to be making any early plays regardless.
Looks like we've got a few trades going on here in the top lane, but nothing too serious. The Narbar may fill up pretty quickly, so we might see another engage in a few seconds, but doesn't look like that's the case right now. Chowduck does get a nice Q on the Hunt there, but
yeah, Chowduck hitting some nice bindings so far, but no follow-up, which it feels like it would be pretty easy for Soulbeaver to just throw a Q at him, even if it goes through a few minions, but yeah, hasn't really been going for those plays, which is a little bit unfortunate. I feel like they could be winning this. Oh, Saucy Black Woman
going in for the invade. Pesatero needs to try and get out here. Might have to burn Ghost. Probably going to try and rely on the Blast Plant, but Saucy Black Woman flashes into it, and Pesatero is going to go down here.
Yeah, nice flash by Saucy Black Woman, able to pick up the roam. Oh, but looks like getting collapsed on. This is probably going to be the end of Saucy Black Woman, but maybe Ex-Katsuo can save him.
Katsuo is coming in. Saucy Black Woman doesn't get stunned just yet. Go Get Wrecked did have the W, but wasn't willing to commit the flash for it.
Yeah, I think Go Get Wrecked could have committed the flash W with the stun that had just come up. It just got to 4 stacks. Flash, stun the Zed and the Evelynn so that there's no counter damage coming, and then just one-shot the Eve, pick up double buffs. Yeah, it's unfortunate you lose flash for it, but with the double buffs, it's easy enough to make up for it, especially in a range versus melee matchup.
It looks like Hunt getting a tether onto Chowduck there, but the Black Shield blocking the second half of it, so the tether actually doesn't go through, just the damage.
Yeah, we're also seeing an XP advantage here for Danny the Best because Zero did roam there and missed some experience. He's actually up level 4 to level 3 while he has 3 extra minions in the lane. So that's interesting. And it looks like Saucy Black Woman's going for another invade, but doesn't quite get it this time.
Sees Pesatero going for the Krugs, though. This is just some incredible early pressure coming out from Saucy Black Woman at this point.
Yeah, Saucy Black Woman, though, has yet to base, so a bit weaker in terms of combat, as Pesatero, despite losing all of that early pressure, is actually ahead in levels of Saucy Black Woman, and this is a big risk of picking something like Evelynn, is that you fall behind in experience despite having successful invades.
Go Get Wrecked taking some trade damage, but Katsuo taking some on the escape out, so looks like that matchup is going pretty evenly right now. Level 6 is, I think, going to be what decides it, ultimately.
You typically wait to on Zed. You know, you can take and wait for a safe. Oh,
Oh,
Chowduck.
Chowduck almost going to go down here. Has to blow the flash, and Soul Beaver heals, but did it even hit Chowduck? It did. Okay.
Yeah, it did hit him, but you typically, in this mid lane matchup, just as Zed, you play safe until you're able to pick up the Hex Drinker, and then, you know, it's really hard for Annie to do much. He's going back in
Oh,
for the
Go Get
Ignite
Wrecked
play,
probably
but the
going to go down
exhaust
here, but... Ooh, yep.
minion auto actually finishing that off because he auto attacked Katsuo there. Had the auto attack not come out from Go Get Wrecked, the minions would not have hit him and he would have survived. So a bit of a mistake there, but you know, it's hard to know you're going to die by exactly that much, and it did look like maybe he could have gotten the kill if Katsuo didn't flash out with the exhaust, you know, reducing armor and MR there.
Yep, Saucy Black Woman is just relentless with the invades here. Invading for the ground, just took it, and it looks like Pesatero is going to find out he's missing yet another jungle camp.
Yeah, unfortunately for Saucy Black Women, because he's playing Evelynn and not a champion that's normally better known for invades. Typically speaking, invade champions are known for not just their ability to duel the enemy jungler and disengage from the enemy jungler, but also their clear speed. Eve does not have that clear speed, which is why she's not typically known as a huge invading jungler. Typically speaking, when you invade as Eve, you're looking for kill pressure, not looking for farm.
Ooh,
and
Hunt getting caught out with the binding.
Yeah, that was very close to tower range. Had Hunt been in tower range, that would have been minimum 2 summoners blown there, the heal and the flash. Probably a death even. But yep. Danny transforming here in the top lane. He is level 6, but I don't really expect him to go for much.
He might be looking for it. He does go for the stun, but oh my god, that twisted advance!
Very nice twisted advance by Zero here. Dodging out of the Gnar ultimate. Not that I think it would have ended up in much damage, but still very nice to see. And interestingly, Zero has a null magic mantle in his inventory. I'm not really sure what that's for. Maybe he's rushing a Zizirot, but it still would make more sense to just rush the Chain Vest first. So
doesn't Hyper do magic damage?
It does, but not much. It's really not worth building magic resist against Gnar, but perhaps he's not aware of that.
Well, considering I'm roughly his rank, and I would have thought that was a decent adaptation. Probably not. Ooh, but the flash from Go Get Wrecked going down onto Hunt, and Hunt is going to go down, but Go Get Wrecked is going to be chased down by Saucy Black Woman here. Go Get Wrecked trying to pop the Blast Plant. Ooh, yep. Pesatero coming in with a charge here. Katsuo just going to get Go Get Wrecked on the backside, but it's going to go down himself. It's a triple kill for Go Get Wrecked. I didn't even notice how many kills he was picking up in that engage.
Yeah, again, Go Get Wrecked losing out in the early laning phase and still able to have a big impact in these skirmishes. It's just exactly what happened last game, except this time it's happening much earlier. Triple kill already going over, and this is going to allow him to get much closer to his Zhonya's, and once he gets the Zhonya's, the Zed is going to have a very hard time actually getting any relevant kill pressure onto the Annie. So that's a really big deal. Also notable here that the Zed has rushed a Serrated Dirk instead of going for the Hex Drinker. As I mentioned, Hex Drinker is the point where you really have to stop worrying as much about the Annie's damage. He's getting it now that Annie has 3 kills, but it may come in a little bit late. The Annie might be able to pressure him out here.
Right. Magos and Soul Beaver going for a little 1v1 right there. It's about even trade, and since both of them, I believe, are running Warlord's Bloodlust, they'll both heal it up pretty quickly.
Yeah, Zero going to take the bad trade here, though, with the hyper damage coming in and speed up. Saucy Black Women, notable, you can see Saucy Black Women is down 20 CS here, but I think that mostly has to do with the difference in camps, since they are the same level, Pesatero and Saucy Black Women. I suspect Pesatero is a bit more farmed, but not nearly as much as the farm might suggest. He's not twice as far farmed as Saucy Black Women is.
Yeah, Zero looks like about to go down here. Can Danny get the last Q to pop hyper? He does, but it's not enough.
Wow, a greedy play by Zero there, not flashing, and also a greedy play by Danny not flashing in. He could have easily flashed into turret range and gone for 1 auto.
Oh, Katsuo going in on Go Get Wrecked here. Go Get Wrecked does have the stun, and that should be enough to deter it. It looks like Go Get Wrecked might be going in for the return, but nope. I'm not sure using the stun was the right move there.
Go Get Wrecked actually hit a minion with his Q there by accident. Would have been a great trade had he not missed the Q. Hard to miss targeted abilities, but it can happen. So unfortunate there for Go Get Wrecked, but yeah, it could have been an even better trade when it was already a decent one for him.
Yep. Well, we've seen missed targeted abilities even at the highest level of play, most notably Santorin missing a Vi ult.
It happens.
Yeah, happens to the best of us. Especially in these high-pressure situations, you never know what'll happen. Hunt getting bound out, which means Magos is kind of by himself, but Katsuo coming in on the roam.
Yeah, Katsuo is showing too early, and they're able to disengage with the Sivir ult. I'm not sure what Pesatero is trying to do here, but Yeah, Saucy Black Woman's on the backside.
It looks like this is
Gogirek
going to
is
turn
coming
into a
in.
fight. Pesatero does ult, but
Oh,
misses Katsuo and Magos. Go Get Wrecked got killed on the backside. I'm not sure what quite happened there. Saucy Black Woman almost going down himself. But it doesn't look like anything else is going to come of it. That was a very, very strange fight. I'm not sure what quite happened to Go Get Wrecked.
Go Get Wrecked was collapsing on the backside alone, and they had a ward. They saw him, and I don't believe he was aware Saucy Black Woman was there. Was collapsed on much faster than he was anticipating. And this is going to be an Infernal Drake going over to LNG, which is pretty much exactly what they want. They're looking to build up this damage.
Danny the Best
Zero, I
getting
don't know about
gone,
going in.
but he does have the Gnarl.
You can see that in Mega Gnar, it's hard for Danny to actually trade into the Maokai, which is normally the opposite of what you'd expect. Misses the ult as well. Didn't stun him into a wall there.
No, so it looks
Yeah.
like more...
You generally prefer being in Mini Gnar, actually, in these tank matchups for the most part. You know, you can get that hyper damage, you have that extra movement speed. So despite being a lot squishier where the tanks can actually deal damage to you, it's you know, a lot easier for you to deal damage to them. So
Right, and then you can use Mega Gnar for some sort of regen because it does increase your health regen. And I believe you're almost guaranteed to come out with more health than you came in with, even if you take a little poke.
oh yeah, the health regen of Mega Gnar is quite substantial.
Looks like
So
some hyper
even
trading
though-
going
yeah.
on. Danny the Best is
Oh, Zero
almost
setting
in
it up.
Mega Gnar. He tries to get the double jump, but Pesatera with a great knockback. Go Get Wrecked trying to come in here. Doesn't have stun just yet, but it looks like she's going to get it eventually. Leaving the kill for Pesatera. That's an interesting adaptation, but I think I like it. Trying to get the jungler who can impact the map even easier than the mid laner. But Soul Beaver almost going down, and does finally go down to the Caitlyn ultimate. It looks like Chowduck tried to use the Blast Plant to his advantage, but Saucy Black Woman is going to follow in. Katsuo getting the kill.
Yeah, just too late on the exhaust there by Chowduck. Also, Chowduck does have 2 sight stones, so possibly not the best build here. So we'll see if he ends up selling one while he's dead here, or maybe he can refund. I didn't see if he just bought it after death, but yeah, not exactly where you want to be as a support buying 2 sight stones. Pretty.
I mean, there's
inefficient
vision
item.
control and step, but this is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, this is serious.
Oh, he didn't
serious
notice.
vision control. Yeah, he actually ended up leaving the base with double sightstone. That's very unfortunate. So, yeah, this Zed pick has ended up working out pretty well so far. 4-1 on the Zed. Has the Hex Drinker now, so it'll be a lot easier to lane into this Annie. Annie is still yet to complete Zonia, so this is the big point where the Zed can do things.
Oh, Katsuo going in. Go Get Wrecked. Go Get Wrecked getting the Timber Stun, but it's almost going to die to the ultimate, but doesn't quite. Katsuo almost going down. Does finally go down to a Q from Pesatera, but Pesatera is ending up fighting Saucy Black Woman. Is Saucy going to get the kill here? Doesn't look like it. But Zero himself is getting pretty low here and has to flash away.
Yeah, interesting plays all across the map. You know, this is about when you expect the top lane matchup to start turning and the Gnar to start having a lot of pressure onto this Maokai, particularly once he finishes the Black Cleaver, and then again when he finishes the Frozen Mallet, if that's the build he's going for. You expect to see a lot of pressure onto this top lane matchup. So again, like I said, because the Annie didn't have Zonia's completed, Go Get Wrecked didn't have any defensive tools for that Zed ultimate besides the Molten Shield, which isn't really enough. Now that the Zonia's is completed, Zed is going to have to look for his kills elsewhere.
Looks like Hunt going in. Does get the tether because the spell shield expired. Exhaust goes down, preventing the Soul Beaver's Sivir ult from keeping her going very quickly. Magos getting a great backwards net. Oh, and finally taking her out with a Q.
Yeah, that was a huge damage Caitlyn Q from the BF sword Caitlyn. But of course, the first target hit does take substantially increased damage from the Caitlyn Q. That is the way it works now. It's no longer just standard fall off damage. It is just the first target and everything else. So first target does take quite a lot.
Magos playing just brilliantly once again.
Yeah, Maga's playing quite well here, and it feels like Soul Beaver's not playing nearly as well on the Sivir as he was on the Varus, so maybe not as comfortable. You know,
Saucy Black Woman does get bound, so they know she's down there.
Yeah, he has been picking up the Sivir recently in solo queue, I saw, but his most played are Varus and Tristana, so it makes a little sense that he did play quite a bit better on the Varus pick from last game.
Wondering why they didn't pick the Tristana, or because the Varus was banned out, but Tristana was still available. I'm wondering if they thought it was just not conducive to the meta or conducive to the team comp in general.
Trist is considered to be a bit weak in this metagame, but of course, you know, you have a lot of other picks in this game that are not considered great in the metagame, like Sivir and like Eve and
I didn't see who got the first tower there. Believe it was LNG. Yeah.
Yes, LNG took down the first turret in the bottom lane with Magus. So Magus is going to have a pretty big lead here from the first turret blood. You can see he already has BF Runons to just BF, and Caulfield's Warhammer here. Also has already the upgraded attack speed boots. Chowduck taking quite a bit of damage there from Katsuo.
Missed the binding, which allowed Katsuo to go in.
Yeah, Katsuo is quite strong right now. 4 and 2, still has a lot of items. Has yet to complete an item though. That'll be a big spike when he does. Probably looking to complete the Maw next, I think, is what we're looking at. Oh, Zero setting up a gank here for Go Get Wrecked.
Go Get Wrecked going in. Danny is just going brilliantly low, and then gets ulted. Soulbeaver flashing out while throwing back a ricochet. I don't know if Katsuo is going to go down here. Pesatero trying his best, tries to get the blue smite on him, lands it, but it's not enough to slow him to the point where Pesatero can get up there. One of the disadvantages of being such a short-range champion like Hecarim is that if you can't catch up, you die. Pesatero barely making it out thanks to the Sivir ult and his E.
Yeah, no minimum damage on that E volt. Didn't really do anything there. Also worth noting that Pesatero did miss his Hecarim ult there. Had he shot it a little bit shorter
Hunt
instead
is
of
going to have to
so
flash.
far, yeah, Hunt's flashing over. Well, at least he did use it this game. Last game didn't. Worth noting also that Chowduck did sell his Sightstone, the second one, so he's back to the normal build. Just lost out on some gold, so he's going to be a little bit behind where he should be.
Another tower taken by LNG.
Yep, this is exactly what you want to do when you've got Caitlyn. You just rotate around the map and take towers. You get a small lead in the bottom lane. You start picking up kills. You start picking up towers. Probably should be looking to go siege mid now. And LNG can even pick up a dragon if they really want to.
They're looking for it
is a possibility.
It looks like Chowduck scared them off of it.
Yeah, I think they're more afraid of Go Get Wrecked than Chowduck. But Go Get Wrecked, with Flash coming up soon, Zhonya's has a lot of damage, potential one-shots, especially onto squishy champions like Evelynn, who has no tank stats whatsoever yet. This is the Protobelt Eve build, most likely. It could be Gunblade, but more likely to be Protobelt. So looking at high burst, high damage, but very squishy at this point in the game.
Now, since the Protobelt nerfs, do you think we're going to see less occurrences of Protobelt? And I know this was, I believe, in 7.0 when the nerf first went through, but it reduced the damage per bolt by, I believe, 10%. But I haven't seen a significant drop in Protobelt usage. Is the utility just that worth it to these players?
Well, the main reason you buy Protobelt isn't for damage. It's for the jump, right? The damage is nice, but most of the champions that were buying it for damage, had been nerfed individually, or, for buying it for some other reason. Oh, Zed going in.
Katsuo's trying to go in on Soulbeaver, but Zero's right there. Might try and stop the return damage, and Soulbeaver should survive this. Yeah.
Yep, Soulbeaver picking up, just burning heal, was able to survive the Zed ultimate, and that is a lot of pressure from the Zed Gone. Without the ultimate, not very strong. Obviously, that is a shorter cooldown than the heal from Soulbeaver, but as long as Soulbeaver doesn't get too close, he won't have to get pressured by that Zed ultimate in the near future when it comes up. So, yeah, going back to the Protobelt nerfs, most of the champions that were buying the Protobelt just for extra damage on their combos were nerfed individually, and the reason you're seeing a decline in Protobelt usage in the recent, over the past couple of patches, has been nerfs to the champions that buy it for other reasons. For instance, Kennen was just recently nerfed on the last patch 7.1. One of the biggest Protobelt buyers. Oh, Zero flashes in, but doesn't get a W.
But Magos, with some unfortunate kiting, gets just in range for a twisted advance. Katsuo getting down, gets healed, but not quite enough. Saucy Black Women taking out Go Get Wrecked on the side there.
Yeah, so it seemed like they had a good initiation from the side of TTC, but end up only getting a 1-for-1 while the Gnar is pushing top lane, probably going to be taking out the top turret, and things are going very poorly for TTC this game, much worse than last game where they were able to pick up the win. So LNG has a big sizable lead here. Gnar didn't quite finish up the top turret, but they are going to get the mid one. Like I said, Caitlyn rotating around the map, taking turrets, pretty much exactly what you want to do in the mid game as Caitlyn.
So what should this Sivir comp be doing in the meantime to try and recover the lost gold? Do you just kind of control side lanes and farm? Do you pressure objectives? Do you just try and farm up and turtle till late?
So I think that play in the mid lane they just went for was good, but the issue was they didn't pop the Sivir ult early enough. I don't know if it was up, but the fact was you had Zero flashing in and then just not immediately Wing. They needed more space to run them down, and they ended up just tanking some turret shots, getting counter engaged on. They gave way too much time to LNG to get the counter collapse with everyone but the Gnar to come in, plus the turret shots helping them. And if they just had popped the Sivir ult earlier and have Zero go in a little bit faster, maybe even have Zero go for a teleport flank rather than try and flash in on the front line, it'll be a little bit easier for them to pull off plays like that. But I think what they did was correct. The play was right. It was a good plan. It's just execution was a bit poor. And when that happens, sometimes a play that's good just won't work out.
So should they be continuing? They should continue going for these team fight oriented plays, try and get a pick and get an advantageous team fight so they can get some gold lead back.
Yeah, even though they're down, I mean, they are down about, 5k gold at this point, but that's really not that big of a deal for a team that has such superior team fighting. Zed is really a very poor team fighter, and Gnar is a really unreliable team fighter. His team fighting, the ceiling of his team fighting is very high, but the floor is very low as well. So if they play well around the Gnar bar when he is nearby, it's really should be easy, even down 5,000 gold, for them to get the proper team fights out here. So I think with the Sivir, with the Hecarim, in particular, the Hecarim, Pesatero, it feels like he's missed quite a few ults this game, or, either missed or only hit one person.
Right.
Here he's coming in, but he immediately stops off, maybe fearing that Saucy Black Woman was there as he was, maybe even saw him. I'm not entirely sure. But at this point, the 1-3-1 or the 1-1-3 in this case, or the, 1-2-2, it's really effective from LNG because they do have this lead, and it is hard for TTC to get a good initiation.
Yep, Zero getting chunked out a little bit here with the hyper bar, but Danny the Best is about to hit Mega Gnar, so that engage is going nowhere fast.
Yeah, it's hard. It is difficult to get these engages, and they need to get the strong 5v5s or 4v4s or whatever they can get. 5v4 obviously would be the best play case scenario if they can somehow play well around the Gnar bar or the Gnar TP or something like that. But they need to get initiations. The other choice they can go for is the play they're going for here, which is the Annie Roam. Going to pick off one of the split
keeping
pushers.
Danny in one spot, but he does get the jump over onto Zero. Danny flashes out, so not much else going to come of that, but that is a flash down, so maybe they can repeat that gank in the future and try and capitalize that way.
Yeah, so that's the other counterplay they can go for, which personally I feel they should just be going for 5v5s. It's going for picks on side lanes is very dangerous if they, if the Caitlyn is in position to push a turret, since oftentimes you go for that kind of play, you'll lose a turret. But the Caitlyn wasn't in position, so good play by Go Get Wrecked, goes up top, almost gets the kill. Had he hit the stun, would have for sure been a kill, but Go Get Wrecked didn't have the flash to follow, and so just gets the flash for free for Danny. And now Danny's going to have to play a bit more defensively, especially as he really doesn't have that many items. He's 0-2, and even in CS with this Maokai, so he doesn't have a ton of pressure, and he's not going to until he actually finishes the Frozen Mallet.
Yeah, it looks like TTC's been doing a pretty good job of slowing down the rotations from LNG, because for a time LNG was just taking objective after objective after objective with no real response. Pesatero getting gone on by Saucy Black Woman, but none of Saucy's team is here, and all of Pesatero's is
overcommitting, and he's just dead for free here.
He's coming down, but Chowduck might go down as well. Katsuo going in onto Chowduck. Chowduck tries to pop the blast plant. Saucy Black Woman is almost alive. Pesatero coming back in on the fight from the backside, trying to see if they can get anything here, but Go Get Wrecked is going to get engaged on by Danny the Best, who blows his ultimate. Go Get Wrecked is almost going down, but pops the Zonia. He's probably going to go down immediately afterwards. Katsuo makes it out alive.
Yeah, so really nice turn by LNG there. Looked like it was going to be a very bad fight. Looked like it was going to be a free pick for TTC onto Saucy Black Women. Just going to get him for free, but was able to just barely survive with that strong ultimate shield from Evelynn, and then picked up, just flashed out, forced Pesatero to go for him. And again, Pesatero missing the ult. Big deal there. Huge loss. Had he hit the ult, would have been able to turn instantly, after killing Saucy Black Women. And then they're able to just get up a lot of cleanup kills and a lot of turret pressure, take out the full health mid-inner turret. And now the only inner turrets remaining for TTC are very low. The bottom and top inner turrets are extremely low on HP. It will not be difficult for them to pressure them out with this 1-1-3.
So we'll have to see if they can find an answer here. Maybe get a pick on the bottom lane, but the vision from LNG is looking pretty solid here. I don't think there's any way that they can be snuck up on without them knowing.
Also worth noting, this is a no damage item Hecarim. This is the reason why it feels like he's not doing any damage is he hasn't built a Triforce. So normally you expect the Hecarim to try and slow the pace of the game down and go for a Triforce so that he can build up, this full damage item so that he can go in, ult and hit, one-shot carries. But this game has been missing so many ults that maybe he feels, okay, it's not worth it. I should just be going tank. I can at least, even if I don't hit my ult on, 2 or 3 people, I can still just, frontline for my team. And so far, that really hasn't worked. Without hitting the ult, he just doesn't have a lot of relevant CC, so the frontlining for him is not that useful. He's not nearly as useful as Zero is to his team, so we'll have to see if he can start picking up some ults, but without any damage items for the Hecarim, he's just kind of a weaker tank jungler than something like a Rek'Sai or a Zac would be normally.
Right. At this point, would it still be worth going for the Trinity Force, or is it too late for it to have a strong impact?
I think at this point, he probably doesn't have the gold income, especially in a situation like this where his team is very far behind and he probably can't get all of his jungle camps. He's probably too late for the Trinity Force, but maybe he could pull off something like the Iceborne Gauntlet. The CDR is also very important on Hecarim, which is one of the reasons why people do go Triforce. So getting an item that does give him some damage, but is a lot cheaper than Triforce and also gives him the CDR, I think would be really nice. So I think at this point he should probably, maybe build the Spirit Visage and then run immediately into the Iceborne Gauntlet. Would probably be the play here.
Okay, we'll see if he goes for that. Just a nice noodle fight top lane while Evelynn takes the dragon for LNG. Go get wrecked, almost going down to the Caitlyn ult. Doesn't properly get blocked. But he's going down with a flash auto from Magos. Then that was quite the hyphy play. He doesn't have flash now, but I don't think he really needs it.
No, it's pretty hard for TTC to get into the backline here. I mean, they have the Hecarim, but with no damage items, the Hecarim is really not putting a lot of threat on. So most of what you'd expect backline threat is a flank from Maokai, and that hasn't happened to this game. So we'll see. One important thing to note is that Zero is really not losing a lot of pressure to Danny, and that's not what you expect from this matchup. And partially that's because Nar's just in a weak state right now, and partially it just feels like Zero is outplaying Danny in a lot of these engagements. Right. With the Twisted Advance dodging a lot of abilities. Once the Frozen Mallet comes in, though, you expect there to be a lot less outplay potential from Zero, since once you're hit once, if you're far up in the lane, you're probably just dead.
Right. What do you expect the next item for Zero to be? Should it be something like a Randuin's to try and mitigate Magos damage, or should it be maybe Thornmail to try and return some of it, or what should the build path ideally look like from this point onwards?
Well, I think for sure he should be building an armor item. I think this much MR is just way too much commitment to defending only from Saucy Black Woman. And you have to keep in mind, Eve's damage is roughly about a third physical damage. So she's not even a full magic damage champion. And so it seems weird to me that he's bought both Mercs and Spirit Visage. So I'm not really convinced. I'm not really sold on this build. And I think he should be stacking armor. Any armor items he can get, just whatever the most efficient thing he can get when he backs is, I think is what he should be looking at.
Right.
The random would be nice for Magus, reducing the crit damage. The Thornmail would be nice to return damage. He could even get an Iceborne, really, if he feels like he needs to make up for some of the damage that Pesatiro is not doing here. Really anything. Even Frozen Heart would be decent. It does actually slow Nar's attack speed, which is a pretty big deal in that matchup. So I think the Maokai build, the big problem is just the Spirit Visage is not very good. Maybe he could get away with just the Mercs or just the Spirit Visage, and probably should have been Tabby, I think.
Right.
And the Spirit Visage should probably have been the third item rather than the second, because the Eve's magic damage is really not super threatening. Especially onto a tank like Maokai. You're not really expecting a lot of magic damage towards him, since it's just the Evelynn.
I can see the Spirit Visage being more of a, okay, I need to, in these fights, stay high health, and my passive plus Spirit Visage keeps me high up on the health bar, but without the armor to back it up, it's sort of like a lost cause almost.
Ooh, huge hit onto Chowduck there. 800 damage, half of his HP instantly from the Magus crit there. Oh, go get wrecked.
Go get wrecked is about to go down to an auto from Magos, and Pesatero is getting Zed-ulted here. I'm not sure that was the right target there, because there's almost no way they're taking him down, but I guess at this point there's no problem with it. Magos is just basically frontlining, barely sidesteps the... oh my god! Magos, what are you doing? He's just playing so aggressively and not getting punished.
Yeah, serious damage. Eve Protobelt, you can see there, the Eve Protobelt doesn't do much to those tanks. Yeah, I think the Zed ult on the Hecarim was a little weird. especially the full damage Hecarim. Maybe if it was a Triforce Hecarim, that's a bit more reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, regardless, they've got double Infernal and an Earth Drake. This is an easy push in. This most likely is going to be an inhibitor going over, maybe even 2 if they're able to group up and head over to the bottom lane afterwards.
Yeah, it looks like Danny is already looking to try and cut that wave a little bit.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be setting up on Baron pressure instead of rotating over for the bottom lane. But yeah, interesting that they're not trying to use their Gnar pressure. But I suppose it is true that the wave was not in the most optimal spot for that. So,
yeah. I mean, by the time they got down there, the entire other team would be full health and ready to defend. So I can sort of see the logic behind it.
TTC is trying to get some vision here. Right now, their vision around the Baron area is pretty poor. Worth noting that control ward that LNG has here in the Baron pit will not see that red ward that Pesatero just put in the pit. So it's possible that they will do the Baron on top of the ward. The range is not quite as long as pink wards right now, although they said that they're going to change it. But as of right now, it's not. So,
okay.
We're seeing a chain vest from Eve here, so this is probably going to be a dead man's plate, would be my expectation. This is a pretty high damage Eve build, and really nice for Eve that she has double Infernal, which really helps boost your damage without building a lot of damage.
Right.
Because you do want to buy at least one, bruiser or tank item on Eve so that you can more effectively engage. Especially Dead Man's Plate gives you movement speed. Binding missing here, but the Dead Man's Plate is particularly nice because it helps you get good flanks off and get the movement speed up, and you can do more aggressive flanks. Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought that was one member of TTC.
Oh, that would have been quite the mistake.
No, I was mistaken. Yeah, I thought he was just committing suicide, but turns out he was just going towards his team.
Yep. Oh, it looks like an engage going in onto the Sivir, but Pesatero is stopping the Caitlyn ult by moving in with a knockback, but getting Zed ulted himself. He's going to go down here, most likely to Saucy Black Woman, but instead it's going to be Chowduck on the side. Pesatero barely making it out with his life.
Yeah, Chowduck going down. Magus just right-clicking people into oblivion. These crits are serious damage. At this point, the Caitlyn's 7-0, and there's really no way for TTC to teamfight unless they can take out Magus, which is going to take a Hecarim ult most likely, or
a Flash Anti-Stun with the Tibbers. Go Get Wrecked is probably going to go down here, but Zero, with the assistance of Tibbers, might be able to take at least someone out. Saucy Black Woman looks like he's going to be the first to go down. Danny the Best coming in from the side, but he's not going to get a whole lot done. Zero is going to keep going in, trying to get Hunt here. Katsuo is too low health to try and stop this, so... Ooh, Soul Reaver barely dodging the ult from Danny the Best.
Yeah, and you can see that, even down a member without their support, if they get able to get the engage off properly with the Flash anti-Tibbers, TTC is still able to win these team fights. 4v5 team fight right there. They're actually able to pick up the win. Yes, you can say, okay, the Narbar wasn't in a good spot. His ult was pretty rough, but they're able to pick up an Infernal off of this, and this is going to be a huge deal, although they are losing a Nexus turret for it. So probably worth it, but it is at a high cost.
Yep, we'll see if they land the smite or if Danny tries to steal. I can't imagine he would. There was no smite that went down, though, so it was a possibility.
Yeah, I don't believe Pesatero had smite, but
he didn't.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. Soul Beaver actually taking the blue here, not really a big deal for any of the champions there, but probably would have been nice on the Hecarim.
So what do you think of Duskblade on Zed here? I haven't really seen it picked up much on anyone.
We're starting up a Baron here. This is a very fast Baron. This is a double Infernal Earth Baron, and this is going to be gone before Pesatero is even anywhere close to it.
Ah, jeez.
3 Baron going over to LNG, and that's going to make their 1-1-3 even scarier. So 1-3-1 or 1-1-3, however you want to put it, is much improved when you get Baron. Typically, those kinds of compositions are weak at taking Baron, but the best kind of compositions for using it. Because they can buff all 3 waves of Baron minions at once. They have the Zed in one lane, the Gnar in another, and then they just have the Eve, the Caitlyn, and the Karma sit in one lane and disengage from the 5 members coming in on them. So, unfortunately, Soul Beaver's going to get caught here.
Black Woman's going to go in on the Soul Beaver. Soul Beaver does have to blow Flash, but survives.
Yeah, just barely survives. Again, Danny, looks like he's actually going to be grouping. Looks like they're going to 5-man instead of going for a 1-4 or a 1-3-1. Kind of an interesting decision because the only way they could lose is if they do get hit by a big anti-Tibbers or a big Hecarim ult. So this is a risk that they're taking here, but obviously it has the upside of them being able to take out the inhibitors much faster as a group.
Yep, and the side pressure from the top lane should be able to lead to an inhib somewhere, or maybe the mid inhib tower, if nothing else.
Okay, so it looks like they are going for the 1-4 with the Gnar split off. Chowduck just getting obliterated.
Jeez. Yep, Saucy Black Woman almost going down. Redemption saving him. Tibbers is trying to do something. Magos is just chunking that Hecarim.
Danny getting a decent bit of damage here on the mid inner turret or the mid inhibitor turret, and they're able to they're forced to go back to defend their Nexus turrets because of the top downed inhib.
Ooh, and a great pick from Saucy Black Woman onto Chowduck. This might be game here.
Yeah, this is looking like game. Just go get wrecked, Habzonius. Yes, he does.
Get wrecked does miss the stun though, so he's pretty much dead at this point. Saucy Black Woman barely making it out alive as Zero tries to go on the hunt. Magos is still alive. Magos was basically frontlining there, and no one was trying to stop him. I don't know what happened there, but maybe they just understood that Magos was likely going to end the game regardless.
Yeah, Magos ending up huge, 9-1-4 here. Big crits, right-clicking many people to death. Huge bottom lane win here for LNG. They're able to get ahead with this Zed pick, this very risky Zed pick, and they're able to pull off the victory. So really nice for them, and that's a 1-1 series.
Yep. Team Trash Can versus Los Niños Gatti. Jeez, why did it take so long to get that name out? Anyways, it's a 1-1 trade. That was the first show match of the EU Learning Fives. So we're going to leave it on music for a little bit, but while we're heading out, I just wanted to say thanks for watching the stream. If you want to keep up with show matches in the future, be sure to follow the channel here on Twitch, or if you want to keep up with this on other social media, you can follow our Twitter or join our Discord, which are in the description below. Be sure to come back next week for more Learning Fives. I believe is the next show match is NA on Saturday. I'm not 100% about that. But that'll be it from us tonight. My name's Nibiria, and I am joined by Nstep. Have a great night.
GG's.